This weekend, we have UFC 227, TJ Dillashaw versus Cody Garbrandt 2. Cody Garbrandt's going to be looking to get his title back against TJ Dillashaw after he got stopped in their last fight and lost his belt to TJ. And in the co-main event, we have Henry Cejudo versus the pound-for-pound greatest fighter ever, Demetrious Johnson. Mighty Mouse will be defending his title. All that and more on this card. I'm going to be previewing those fights, and I'll be giving my picks. So let's get started. Now, in their last fight, Cody Garbrandt looked to be a matador. He was countering off of TJ Dillashaw when he would come in and try to close the difference. Two things about TJ Dillashaw that are important are his footwork and his creativity. His footwork is insane. It's almost as good as Dominic Cruz's, where he moves in and out and barely ever gets hit, and he's able to land kicks, able to land punches, knees, all kinds of variety of strikes, and he's creative with his combos. He'll go from spinning back kick, spinning kick to just a straight right down the pipe. TJ's got speed, he's got power, he's got footwork, he's got kicks, got strikes, got a variety of different options. He's got a high school wrestling background, so his wrestling is really good too, and uses that with his great timing to land those takedowns. One of the problems with TJ Dillashaw is that he'll stay inside the pocket a little too long, especially against a good, fast, counter-striking boxer like Cody Garbrandt can be bad. And that's why in that first round, at the very end, TJ got clipped when he came in and when he moved inside closer and decided to start to trade with Cody a little bit too long before exiting, and Cody caught him. What did he catch him with? Overhand right and then a left hook. That's almost all of his fights. Almost every combo is a right, left, right, left. As you chase him is when he'll plant and land that right, left. He'll move in, move back, move in, move back. He'll get you to chase him. He's that matador. He's pulling you in, and when you stay inside and get frustrated from missing, when you stay close to him for too long, is when he lands those fast, hard counters. Right, left. Did it against Dominic Cruz. When Dominic Cruz would get frustrated and miss and would stay close to him for too long, he'd get countered with the right, left. TJ would get frustrated and start to chase Cody a little bit too much. He'd get countered with the right, left. That's what dropped him in the second round, and that's what he goes back to all the time. It's not that it's too predictable, it works. He is so fast at countering. Cody Garbrandt, I'm assuming he's gonna be looking for the same thing. He does it every fight. He tries to frustrate his opponent. He will hit you with a few strikes and then move back and make you miss. That's what he did against Dominic when he was so cocky and just had him missing and missing and missing. And when you keep missing, you want to stay closer to them longer and try more combos. And when you do that, that's when Cody will capitalize and hit you and knock out most of his opponents. So TJ counters that with being creative with his strikes. When he moves in, he'll throw kicks, overhand left, spinning back fist, and then he won't throw that same combo again, at least not for a while. He'll try something different, front kicks, knees. He'll try leg kicks. He does a lot of leg kicks. So there's a big back and forth between these guys, between TJ trying to move in and out and not get hit, and Cody trying to time right when he moves in and time that overhand right or that left hook. So I'm gonna go with Cody Garbrandt on this pick. I think Cody's gonna find that counter, and I think they're gonna go back and forth 3 or 4 times, 5 times maybe, because these guys are just so well matched, and I think these guys are a great matchup, and this is gonna be an amazing fight. So I've got Cody Garbrandt by knockout. Next up, Mighty Mouse is going to be looking to defend his belt against Henry Cejudo for the second time around. The first time around was a dismantling. Demetrious Johnson just outstruck Henry Cejudo, used a bunch of knees in the clinch, used elbows in the clinch, and was not out wrestled by Henry Cejudo, which is important because Cejudo is an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling, and for him not to be out wrestled is important. But he also just knew how to use strikes in the clinch. He knew how to use strikes as he left the clinch, just better than Henry Cejudo. And Cejudo hadn't been in the game for that long. He's only been doing MMA for a few years, so it's understandable that you wouldn't have as much knowledge and experience as Mighty Mouse does. One of the best in MMA right now, so skilled and technical, and I'm assuming this fight's going to be the same. Although Henry Cejudo is sort of closing that gap as far as striking, you know, his fight against Wilson Hayes, he had a good striking, that sideways karate stance, using that, and he says it helps his wrestling as well, using that for entries, and that's really good, and I think he would be the champ if it wasn't for Mighty Mouse. But unfortunately, there's the greatest MMA fighter in the world right now in his division, and I don't see Mighty Mouse losing ever, probably. He's just so much faster, and some of the keys to victory for Mighty Mouse are his speed, his combos, and his processing time. He's so smart. He just thinks faster than everyone else he fights. He's thinking of combos. He's thinking of moves 2, 3, 4 steps ahead of his opponents. And so is his coach. He has one of the greatest coaches of all time for mixed martial arts ever. And that combination is like programming a robot to do exactly what you want it to do. And the robot has a processor that's faster than anyone else and can think of things to do faster than everybody else and executes them. He had just that insane flying armbar, the throwing Ray Borg in the air and landing an armbar while he was still in the air. Crazy. Just incredible finishes. I'm going to be looking for something wild from Demetrius out of this fight. You know, he still says that there's the mousetrap move that he's looking to do, so I'm gonna be looking out for that one. But yeah, of course, I'm gonna go with Demetrius Johnson by decision, maybe. I think Cejudo's closing that gap where he's not gonna get outstruck as badly, but Demetrius is just good at everything. He's so well-rounded. He's the best at everything. And he's pound for pound champion for a reason. So I'm gonna go with Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson winning by decision. Next is Cub Swanson versus Renato Moicano. Cub Swanson is so creative of a striker and just brutal about it. He hits really hard, and being as creative as he is, it makes it difficult to read him. You can't read what strikes are coming next. He'll throw overhand lefts to spinning wheel kick to right hook. He's creative. It does open him up to be countered sometimes if you can land a good straight jab and right. His wrestling can be exposed sometimes. We saw against Frankie Edgar. But against Renato Moicano, I think Cub Swanson has the experience. He has the well-roundedness. He has good jiu-jitsu, good wrestling, and he's gone against some of the best in the world. Jose Aldo, Frankie Edgar, Brian Ortega. But Renato Moicano is a dangerous striker. He's 12-1-1. He's a good Muay Thai striker. He uses a lot of leg kicks, a lot of body kicks, and he changes it up, gets you thinking about his legs, and he goes for a body kick or a head kick. Gets you worried about it, and goes for that left high kick. He's countering off of people's jabs, and he's really good about not getting hit, leans back while he's throwing his kicks. He's great footwork, and he pivots around and keeps moving all the time. He's always circling around the cage and pivoting around and not getting too caught up against the cage. But I think Cub Swanson is just savvy, and I think he's just experienced. He's been fighting for so long, and I think he's gonna be able to figure Renato Moicano out. So I'm gonna end up going with Cub Swanson on this one for his well-roundedness, creativity in striking, and being a veteran. I'm gonna go with the experience on this one. So I'm gonna go with Cub Swanson with probably a decision. Next up, you got Polyana Viana versus JJ Aldrich. JJ Aldrich, a good striker, but Polyana Viana is a jiu-jitsu killer. She is so good in the ground and wraps up all her opponents. In her UFC debut, she got the rear naked choke against her opponent. I'm gonna go with Polyana Viana on this one. She's 10-1, and I don't see her being stopped this early in her UFC run. So unless JJ Aldrich can somehow expose some kind of striking problems that we haven't seen yet, I'm gonna go with Polyana Viana with a submission, round 1 submission probably. Then we have the biggest guys on the card, Thiago Santos versus Kevin Holland. The Brazilian Thiago Santos, a big power striker, uses Muay Thai, uses his kicks, elbows, and strikes. He's got a ton of TKOs and hits harder than most people in this division. He hits much harder than Kevin Holland, but Kevin Holland is not going to be an easy fight. He's coming off the Contender Series, and he's tall, he's evasive, and he has great strikes. But my main thing with him, Kevin Holland, is his confidence. He is so confident and almost cocky. His whole Contender Series fight, he's pointing and talking to the corner and to Dana and the ref and his opponent. He's looking around, he's pointing off. His whole fight, he'd be pointing off, staring at his opponent, and then landing strikes. Using karate chops, using slaps. He was yelling Diaz hitting and slapping his opponent. Just so confident in himself, and lands really, really great knees and kicks. And he changes it up and uses a different style than a lot of people have seen. He's a he's a second degree kung fu black belt, and you can really see that in his striking. He uses those low kicks to distract from head kicks, or he uses those low kicks to distract from the strikes and the punches to the head. And he just is really great about changing it up. This is gonna be a tough one. Kevin Holland, good new fighter into the UFC, and Thiago Santos is tested and has taken out guys like Anthony Smith, just big 185ers. I'm gonna go with the Contender Series guy, Kevin Holland. I know it's a underdog pick, but Kevin Holland is so confident, and I don't think he feels like he needs to win this one. And I think that's going to fuel his confidence even more. It's going to be his first fight in the UFC, using his athleticism, his explosiveness, and his knees, and his creative striking, getting those kicks and knees and elbows, and getting it done. So I'm going to go with Kevin Holland by stoppage. I'm going to go with a second or third round stoppage. Then we got a good jiu-jitsu match. We got Pedro Munoz versus Brett John. Pedro Munoz, known for his guillotines. I think he's got 6 career wins with guillotine, and it is sick. He clamps it on so fast, and in his last fight, he got that guillotine. He's also got really great kicks. He moves in and out. He's constantly changing up from body, head, and leg kicks. Problem is, he's awful slow. John Dodson said that he's one of the slowest people he's ever fought, and I mean John Dodson's super quick, so that's not saying much, but Pedro Munoz is sort of slow, and he tends to try to counter off people. So Brett John's a busy striker and a really creative jiu-jitsu guy. He had that cool calf slicer win against somebody a couple fights ago, and although he had a tough fight versus Aljamain Sterling, he got outstruck a bit and kind of out wrestled, and I think Pedro Munoz is probably gonna be able to get this done too. I think his jiu-jitsu matches up well, and his kicks match up really well too. I think Pedro Munoz is gonna get this done by submission, third or second round submission. Then we got Ricky Simmons versus Montel Jackson. Montel Jackson, another guy from the Contender Series, and just violent too, really talented. He's stepping in short notice. His last fight, he had some illegal kicks, illegal eye pokes, elbows to the back of the head. He did just about everything. Even though he was winning the fight the whole time, he still just, I'm not sure if he just isn't being careful or if it's still an inexperienced thing, but he did do a lot of fouls that cost him a couple points. But he's tall, he mixes it up, and he was looking to be in the Olympics before they announced the Olympics will no longer have wrestling. So he's a great wrestler, has that wrestling base to go off of, and just violent striking. Those knees are so sharp. He cut up his opponent, and I'm gonna go with Montel Jackson on this one. Ricky Simmons, well-rounded, has really good jiu-jitsu and good wrestling, but he's slow. He doesn't tend to start off as fast as everybody else, and will be a little lax in his striking. So I think Montel Jackson's gonna pull this one off, and he'll be undefeated still. He's 6-0 right now, so look out for him from the Contender Series. Next up, we got Bethe Correia versus Irene Aldana. I like Irene Aldana in this fight for her striking, and because she's a taller fighter and a longer striker. She uses great range, and Bethe Correia is a bulldog and just drives forward and she drops her hands, sort of plods forward, boxing style, just tries to pull that clinch, get the clinch, and take the fight to the ground and try to push her opponent against the cage. But I think Irene's going to be able to use her striking and get the win on this one. So I'm gonna go with Irene on this. Another Contender Series fighter, we got Matt Sales versus Shaman Moraes. Matt Sales, calm. We didn't see much from his fight. We saw he got the stoppage against his opponent. So we'll be looking to see what else he can do in this fight. And Shaman Moraes, you know, he got kind of mauled against Zabit Magomedsharipov in his fight, which to be expected. Zabit is just insane. So we're gonna get to see kind of what each of these guys has to do and what they can do. Shaman, we saw some good kicks. He actually landed a few good ones against Zabit, but we didn't see too much else. So I'm gonna actually go with Matt Sales in this one, just 'cause I'm going with the Contender Series guys on this. Then we got Alex Perez versus Jose Shorty Torres. Jose Torres stepped in last minute in his last fight, and he had that weird thing where his opponent tried to slam him and ended up knocking himself out. So Jose ended up winning the fight. He was losing at that point, but not by a lot. He's quick. He moves in and out. He stays really busy with his striking and has great wrestling, has really good wrestling base. He calls himself the Justin Gaethje of their division, the flyweight division, and he says he's violent and is just looking to just sit in exchanges and trade, and that's awesome. I'm gonna go with Jose Torres. I think he's got a great attitude. You know, he's 8-1. I'm gonna go with Torres on this one. Then we got Ricardo Ramos versus Kyung Ho Kang, Mr. Perfect, the South Korean fighter. Has really good defense and good grappling, really well-rounded of a striker. But Ricardo Ramos is just tall, great leg kicks, and tremendous jiu-jitsu in his transitions. He's great when people try to take him down, moving off into positions where he comes out on top. You know, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. So I'm gonna go with Ricardo Ramos on this one. He's got a great spinning back elbow and so really creative strikes, and he's able to throw those spinning elbows and spinning kicks and all the stuff that you would think would be high risk, because he's not afraid of being taken down and going on the ground and using his jiu-jitsu. So I'm gonna go with Ricardo Ramos on this one. He's 11-1, and I think it's gonna be a good fight. Then we got Danielle Taylor versus one of the top prospects in the women's 115-pound division that there are. Her name is Wei Li Zhuang, and do not miss this fight. She is awesome. She's a kickboxer and much more than that. She's so well-rounded. Wei Li Zhuang is 16-1. She's got 9 TKOs, 6 subs, only 1 decision, and her only loss was her very first fight. So she's gone on a 16-fight win streak since then. Just crazy for that division. Now she's been fighting out of China, and this is gonna be her first fight in the UFC, so this is gonna be something to look out for with her. Her striking is incredible. Her grappling is really good. Just a huge prospect, the #1 115-pound female fighter coming from China. So this will be an awesome fight to look out for. And she's fighting Danielle Taylor, a girl shorter than her, who's quick, powerful, but she never really shows that power. She doesn't get a lot of knockouts. So against someone who's just really well-rounded and a great kickboxer, I'm gonna give this one to Wei Li Zhuang. This is gonna be a great coming out performance for her. So Wei Li Zhuang by I think TKO, but it could be anything. It could be submission. She's so well-rounded. So Wei Li Zhuang, look out for her. And last, we got Marlon Vera versus Wuliji Burin. Marlon Vera, great jiu-jitsu. He's a black belt, but he just stays too relaxed in his fight and can get hit if he fights somebody who can stay really busy. But he's just fought way better competition than Wuliji. He's fought Brad Pickett, Brian Kelleher, has some really good wins. He's just sort of win-loss. So I'm gonna end up going with Marlon Vera on this one. That should be a good fight too. So those are the fights this weekend. I'm really looking forward to that main and co-main event. Those will be some of the best fights of this year. They both have had tremendous fights, and I'm gonna look out for something crazy from Demetrius. There's a lot of movement in the 125 and 135 divisions this card, so look out for that. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Thanks, guys.